All right, welcome and good morning to everybody who's joining us here tonight on one of the sites of one of our first tornado hits here in Shiawassee County. This is the site of Shiawassee Township's damage. I am Commissioner Jeremy Rood. I'm the chairman of the Shiawassee County Board of Commissioners. This is part of the district that I represent. First of all, I'd like to thank all of our first responders and everybody that's been out, time away from their families, helping us in a time of need. We really appreciate that. We also want to thank all of our volunteers that have kind of come out of the woodwork to help us in this time of need. I'd like to acknowledge all of our local elected officials. We do have some of them here with us today. Ashton Burtz is representing Congressman Moolinar's office. We have Tony Newman, our County Drain Commissioner. Our state representative Ben Frederick is here, and a fellow commissioner Cindy Garber is here. Kind of the order the press conference is going to go. Sheriff Pagol will give kind of a rundown of what's been going on and kind of an update on our efforts moving forward. Then our emergency manager, Trent Atkins, Jamie Haskins from United Way will also give an update of kind of moving forward, of what we're going to be, what the plans moving forward. And please, if everyone could hold all the questions until the end, we'll answer all of them with everybody kind of separately. So at this time, I guess we'll welcome Sheriff Pagol. Have him give you guys a rundown. Sheriff?
Thank you, Commissioner. Good morning, everyone, and thanks for being here this morning. As you know, this is day 8 of our recovery for the tornado. We have many hours to get us to this point, and hundreds and hundreds of volunteers to thank. If I could start off by thanking the following organizations who have been instrumental in this recovery process. The Salvation Army, the Red Cross, the United Way, Team Rubicon, the State Defense Force, Michigan National Guard, the Durand Senior Center, Vernon Township Fire Department, Waste Management, Granger, Billy's, Durand United Methodist Church, Crooked Tree Nursery, Agnew Signs, Verizon, the Shiawassee County Road Commission, and many others. Since we began these recovery efforts, the number of homes that have damaged have increased daily. We started out, I think, originally knowing there was 21 homes. We're now in excess of 90 homes that have been damaged as a result of this tornado. So we estimate there's probably somewhere in the neighborhood of $3.5 million at this point. That does not include the businesses that we had destroyed, which would be an additional $4.5 million on those. The reception center in the city of Durand that was set up has been overflowing with help. There's nearly 150 people that have volunteered locally. That does not include the organizations who have come out and began this cleanup process. So we stand here today for the good of the community to help families like the Hinkleys that have had their home destroyed. We're a small community, and we feel that by beginning this effort that more people who want to get involved will, and we appreciate you being there here today to help us spread that word. Okay, if I could now turn it over to our emergency manager, Trent Atkins.
So as many of you know, we've been in a strong recovery mode since Sunday. So we're into day 5. We've covered about 80% of the impact area for our debris management. As the sheriff had mentioned, we have over 90 homes now that have been impacted. 24 of them have been left unlivable, that are going to require major or significant repairs and perhaps rebuild. 92% of our community residents that were impacted have insurance and will be able to recover through their insurance. Unfortunately, we still have a few that remain that were underinsured or have no insurance whatsoever. The Red Cross, Salvation Army, and others have worked hard to take care of their short-term needs, housing, food, water, and other special needs. But that mission is a little bit narrow When we look at the long term for those folks that are going to need assistance for months, we've had to look to other resources. And today we're announcing that we have created a very strong partnership with the United Way of Genesee County. United Way has agreed to take all donations for long-term recovery efforts for Shiawassee County with no administrative fees. In fact, the United Way has given us a seed of $10,000 to put into that account. And just recently, last night, Frank Torrey from Signal Restoration has also donated $10,000 to that United Way account. As we move forward, there's a number of ways that you can provide assistance through donations. You can go to the United Way website for Genesee County, or if you would like to drop off checks directly, you can do that at the Shiawassee County Sheriff's Office. They'll be taking checks there, and they'll need to be made out to the United Way of Genesee County with, in the memo, specifically the Shiawassee County tornado relief. This storm, it's been amazing what we've seen from the community. I've joked a couple times this week that resources and volunteers have just fallen out of the sky when we've needed them most. When there's been a need, it hasn't taken us long to find somebody to fill that need. We're here, we're standing in front of the Hinkley home. These folks were one of the worst that were hit very hard. Their story is just unbelievable. How Aaron, the father, laid on top of his 8-year-old daughter and wife and protected them throughout the entire storm. And as you can see, there's not much left of their home, from the roof and the walls being tore out. This was an experience that, you know, you would hope that nobody would ever go through. But the stories that we hear go on and on. Yesterday I met with a 92-year-old woman who she looked out the back window and she saw coming across the field this storm. She ran to the bathroom to get into the bathtub. She opened the bathroom door. She saw insulation laying on the floor, and she said, I just couldn't figure out what was going on, why the insulation was on the floor, and I just turned around to look back at the hallway, and the house was down on top of us. She survived that without any injury, but obviously shaken up. I asked her, I said, what can I do for you? You know, can we get you a meal? Can we get you anything whatsoever? And she said, I'm fine. I'm good. I can take care of myself. So, you know, the resilience within our community has just been amazing. You know, even on Friday after the storm, as we're out doing damage assessment in the daylight, we saw numerous people coming out to help their neighbors and cleaning up, and that's made the debris cleanup so much easier, because every single day we have church groups and we have numerous volunteers that are working. You know what? When we look at a tornado that tracked 18 miles with over 90 homes, 4 businesses, 16 barns, and 22 RVs, in most communities this would take weeks and weeks to get the debris cleaned up, and there's a pretty good chance that we're going to have this done by the end of the weekend, and it's really thanks to the community. When you look at 150 spontaneous volunteers coming out, as well as people that showed up and said, I've got heavy equipment to work, we couldn't have done it without them. There's no way. So we want to thank all of our volunteers as well as all of our partners. We want to thank Jamie from the United Way for stepping forward to help us. And we want to thank Kelly King, the director of the Red Cross. We want to thank her for all the work that they've done. They've taken on the case management of a number of these folks to make sure that their short-term needs have been met, and they've done a fantastic job. I've been an emergency manager for over 30 years, and I had to joke with them the other day. This is the first disaster that I've had where I've been able to get executive officers in my EOC to be able to say we're here to meet the needs. So our community really came together. But again, things are going very well. I'll be available for questions afterwards if you have very specific. But at this time, I'd like to turn the podium over to Jamie from the United Way, and he can give you a little bit more information on what we have going there. Thank you.
Maybe Kelly, why don't you come just stand with me?
Okay.
It's important. Good morning, everybody. We'll have a few things to say. Like most people in the area, on Thursday night, I was making phone calls because my wife was in the basement in downtown Flint. My stepkids were in the basement in Swartz Creek, and my son was in the basement in a home in Flushing. And we didn't know what other stepkids were out on the road, going to and from different places, and we were all concerned. That same night, I was on the phone with Kelly, talking about the Red Cross getting resources available. And our United Way, because of a disaster relief fund, was able to deliver a check for $20,000 to the Red Cross to support that immediate relief work. And on Monday morning, I had the great pleasure of meeting Trent and the whole team, not only from the county, but from across the state in our region, responding to this challenge. And we're so blessed at United Way to be trusted by the community to have the resources to really help address the problem. We are only as strong at United Way as our nonprofit partners, our communities, our leaders, who trust us to be that place where we invest for times like this. We are excited to work with all of the partners here to establish a tornado relief fund. And as was mentioned, we invested to start at $10,000. And we're committed to some of the longer-term relief efforts to help those that are mentioned that were either underinsured or uninsured, to try and help people, make people whole. I will tell you one thing I've learned from being in Flint through the water crisis is that, when disasters happen, we all work very hard to try to come together to make people whole again. But we're never quite the same. We very much become different people, and I think we've become better people because we come together to really help each other. And there's a great example. There's a great team of people, and we're going to do everything that we can to ensure these families can be made whole and quite frankly, hopefully be made stronger and better. So the next time this happens, we're right back here. So thank you all so very much. And again, we're happy to answer any questions. As was said, 100% of the donations will be returned directly to the community. There will be no administrative fees, and we will do everything we can to help the families impacted. Thank you.
All right, we'll take some interview questions directly right now. If you guys have any questions for us. Okay, then we'll be available for comment here. Thank you. Thank you very much.